Picture an analyst sitting on the contact center floor, staring at a wallboard as the queue turns red. They have a headset and a radio, but they lack the explicit authority to fix the problem in front of them. So they send a message to a manager, and they sit there waiting for permission. This diagram represents a typical operational breakdown. In 80% of these scenarios, the person physically closest to the incoming signal had absolutely zero documented authority to step in and act. Putting real-time data in front of an employee who cannot act on it is a deliberate architectural design choice. At Company Z, that exact choice engineered an average delay of 22 minutes into their crisis response time. Instead of handing out another cosmetic job title, the company took a different approach. They tore up the existing RACI matrix and formally transferred operational power directly to the analysts on the floor. Analysts were given specific empowerment zones. For the first time, they held the explicit right to override employee breaks, act immediately on service thresholds, and formally challenge forecast assumptions. This timeline tracks the immediate impact of that structural change. By removing the managerial bottleneck, the average response time to a real-time risk dropped from 22 minutes down to just 6. Turning a spectator into an empowered actor eliminates your largest operational delay. However, it also forces a shift for the middle managers who previously spent their entire day approving those decisions. Marcus was one of the most respected operations managers at the company. Every time the queue crashed, he appeared on the floor, moved schedules around, and personally held the afternoon together. That firefighting management style feels heroic, but it is actually an expensive operational trap. When a leader acts as the sole crisis responder, the entire system relies on their personal endurance. This chart plots a 6-month timeline of every crisis Marcus personally resolved. It looks impressive, but adding the analyst's real-time logs shifts reality. In 74% of cases, an analyst flagged the exact risk 18 minutes before Marcus arrived. Marcus was essentially responding to a signal that had already been broadcast and ignored by a system that demanded his permission. This dependency turns a single person into a systemic point of failure. Once Marcus saw the data, his role had to evolve. He shifted from being a decision point for daily emergencies to a development architect, tasked with building the analytical capability of his team. Part of that evolution meant implementing a methodology called structured listening. The team introduced a weekly signal session, a brief, formal channel specifically designed to capture human intuition before it ever shows up in a dashboard. During one of these weekly sessions, an analyst named Amara noticed a subtle but very important change in their client communication. Her human observation identified a major volume shift 4 entire weeks before the forecasting software detected the pattern. Formalizing that intuition into a repeatable system shifts a manager's focus. Instead of reacting to past failures, leadership becomes a methodical practice of predicting future risks. After 6 months of fixing the human foundation, the corporate board demanded the immediate deployment of artificial intelligence. The workforce team actively pushed back against the board. They understood that deploying a highly complex analytical tool on top of a disempowered human foundation simply accelerates operational failure at a larger scale. AI requires a specific prerequisite stack. Feeding an algorithm clean data requires human beings who understand the operational context, and maintaining accurate predictive models requires analysts who hold the authority to challenge those models. Deploying AI onto a broken culture automates the dysfunction. At Z, the machine only produced value once the human foundation was stable enough to support it. This graph shows what happens when forecasting AI is finally deployed on top of Company Z's fully empowered human layer. The accuracy baseline breaks its 91% plateau and makes a sharp, sustained leap to 97%. Amara, the analyst who previously had no voice in how the floor operated, took over as the lead authority tasked with validating the AI's complex outputs. And Marcus, the exhausted manager who used to spend every afternoon fighting fires, now operates as the overarching architect planning the system's long-term future. This final structure represents augmented intelligence, a disciplined operating system where human judgment is accelerated by digital tools. The machine's success at Z was a direct result of the human growth that preceded it.